I stared at my phone, heart pounding. A photo, Brad, his parents, his sister, her kids, all smiling around a birthday cake. His asterisk birthday cake. And I wasn't there. I wasn't even invited. That night, I made him breakfast like I always did. Eggs, toast, coffee, his favorite. He came into the kitchen, all casual like nothing had happened. "Morning," he said, sitting down. I slid a white envelope across the table. He raised an eyebrow. "What's this?" "An invitation," I said. "To my lawyer's office." He blinked. "What?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. I just stood there watching him, letting the silence say everything I'd swallowed for 6 years. "My name is Michelle. I'm 38, and I live in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I've been married to Brad for 6 years. We met through mutual friends, clicked quickly, and moved in together within a year. I work as an admin at the local hospital. Brad used to be in construction, now he manages projects. Our life wasn't fancy, but it felt solid. Steady, safe, but the cracks had always been there. From day one, his family made it clear, I wasn't one of them. His mom, Jean, smiled tight whenever I was around, like I was someone passing through. His sister, Megan, pretended I didn't exist. At Christmas, she handed gifts around like I was invisible. And his dad, Bill, always had something to say. "You ever think Brad should be earning more than his wife?" he once asked me with a smirk. Brad laughed it off. "Dad's just old school. Don't take it personally." So I didn't. I kept quiet, smiled, played the nice wife, but it chipped away at me. "Brad, they don't like me," I'd say sometimes. "They'll come around," he'd reply, kissing my forehead and changing the subject. I tried to believe him. I really did. A few weeks ago, Brad's 40th birthday was coming up. I started planning something special, just the two of us. A cabin near the lake, maybe dinner in Nashville. Quiet, romantic, something to remind us of who we were before all the noise. One evening, I sat beside him on the couch. "Hey," I said, "how would you feel about a little getaway for your birthday?" He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Actually, I think my parents are planning something. Just a small dinner, family only." I smiled. "Great. What time should we go?" He hesitated. His eyes dropped to his phone. He scratched the back of his neck. "Well, it's kind of just them, Megan, the kids. You know, close family." I stared at him. "So I'm not invited?" He looked up quickly. "It's not like that. They just thought you'd feel out of place." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was unbelievable asterisk. "They're throwing a birthday dinner for you asterisk, and I'm not welcome." "They didn't want tension," he mumbled. "Tension," I repeated. "I'm your wife." He didn't say anything, so I stayed home. I sat in my living room, scrolling through pictures of my husband's family-only birthday. I wasn't part of it. I never was. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just got quiet, and in that quiet, I made a choice. No more shrinking. No more pretending. No more waiting for them to accept me. The next morning, I handed him that envelope. Calm, steady, done. He stared at me like I'd grown a second head. "You're really doing this?" he asked. "I already have," I said quietly. He stood there, holding the envelope like it was poison. "You're throwing away our marriage over one dinner." I shook my head. "You still don't get it." He slammed the envelope on the counter. "This is crazy, Michelle. You're overreacting. They don't hate you, they just don't know you. They had 6 years to know me," I said. "They chose not to. And you watched it happen." He rubbed his face and paced the kitchen. "Come on, be reasonable." Reasonable. I had been reasonable when his mom looked past me every Christmas. I had been reasonable when his sister ignored me like I was furniture. I had been reasonable every time his dad made those slick little comments about my job, my salary, my place in the house. And Brad, he had been silent. Every time. I stayed quiet for years, I said, my voice shaking just slightly. "Because I loved you." I thought, Maybe that's what being married means. You love the man, not the family. But that's not how it works. I wasn't just married to Brad. I was married to their silence, the cold shoulders, their fake smiles. And yours. He looked like he wanted to speak but couldn't. I took a step back, still calm, still steady. You had your birthday dinner with your real family, I said. And now I'm giving myself a new start. Brad sat down at the table, hands in his hair, not touching the breakfast I made. I didn't think it meant that much, he whispered. It meant everything, I said. Because it proved what I already knew. I'm not part of your life. I was just playing a part in yours. I packed that night, quietly, no drama. I left the photos, the wedding album, even the mug he gave me on our 3rd anniversary. I only took my clothes, my documents, and my piece. It was raining when I pulled out of the driveway. But I didn't cry, because for the first time in years, I wasn't waiting to be chosen. I chose me. Brad's face turned red. So you're really ending our marriage over one night? He snapped. I leaned forward, calm but firm. No, you ended it, when you chose their comfort over my dignity. He didn't answer. I didn't wait. I walked out of the room. He didn't follow me. I think, deep down, he knew he had already lost me. My bag was by the door. I had packed it before making breakfast. Not because I wanted drama, but because I was done pretending. I'd already spoken to a lawyer. I was staying at Tasha's, my friend from work, for now. And I wasn't leaving empty-handed. I had receipts, screenshots of Jean's nasty texts, a voicemail from Megan, calling me dead weight. I even had a copy of the birthday invitation. They had sent it in a group chat I wasn't part of, but someone else shared it with me. 6 years I kept quiet. Now, I was done being polite. Jean and Megan never reached out. Not a text, not a call, nothing. Brad did, though. At first, he was calm. Michelle, please, let's talk. This is insane. Then came the missed calls. Dozens. Then the emails, cold, clipped like we were strangers or coworkers. Like he was trying to get control back. I didn't reply, not once. I sent everything to my lawyer. But a week later, he crossed a line. It was almost 9 p.m. when I heard a loud knock at Tasha's door. Bang, 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 asterisk. I froze. Michelle, I know you're in there. Tasha opened the door just a few inches. Brad, you need to leave. He stepped forward. I just want to talk to her. You can't hide her from me. You don't get to show up like this, she said firmly. She doesn't want to talk to you. If you don't leave, I'll call the cops. From the kitchen, I was shaking. Not from fear, but from rage. I didn't move. I didn't want to see him. I waited in silence until I heard his truck pull away. 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Brad, you're blowing up everything over nothing. Hope it's worth it, That was the moment it clicked. He wasn't sorry. He wasn't sad. He was angry, because I finally stood up for myself. The next morning, it got worse. I was at Tasha's, brushing my teeth, when I got a call from HR at the hospital. Hi Michelle, I'm sorry, but a complaint was submitted. It says you may have been sharing confidential patient information outside the office. We have to look into it. My heart dropped. What? That's not true, I said. We understand, the voice replied. This is just temporary leave until it's cleared. I knew exactly who did it. Jean. She used to volunteer at the hospital. She still had friends on the board. She didn't come at me directly. She used the system, smiling from a distance while sticking the knife in. This wasn't just about a birthday anymore. It was about power. They had spent years trying to make me feel small, and now that I was leaving, they were trying to punish me for it. But this time, I was ready. Jean didn't have to leave her name. She never would, but her fingerprints were all over that HR complaint. Smooth, quiet, the kind of sabotage you'd miss if you weren't paying attention. I told my lawyer everything. She added it to the growing list. Good, she said. Let them keep showing who they are. Later that week, Tasha and I went out to a little diner not far from her place. We just wanted greasy burgers and a break from the chaos. And that's when I saw her. She was in a booth near the window, sitting with two women I didn't recognize. But I felt her eyes on me the second we walked in. She leaned toward her friends, whispered something, then laughed, loud and fake. Some people don't know how to keep a man, she said, just loud enough for me to hear. That's why they end up living in someone else's spare room. Tasha's hand tensed around her glass. I just smiled. I turned, looked Megan dead in the eye, and said, "At least I don't need to borrow my brother's spine to stand up straight." Her face dropped. One of her friends let out a soft asterisk. Damn. Megan looked down at her menu. Quiet for once. The next morning, my phone buzzed again. "Brad, you're making this worse than it needs to be. Mom says if you just apologize for overreacting, maybe we can all sit down and talk." Asterisk. I stared at the message for a long time. Apologize. They were still expecting me to beg. After years of cold shoulders. After being excluded from his birthday. After the lies and fake smiles. They still thought I'd come crawling back like it was some kind of misunderstanding. They didn't see me. They saw a woman who'd never stand up for herself. A woman they could keep in a corner, just outside their picture-perfect family. Well, that woman, she doesn't exist anymore. 2 weeks after I gave Brad the separation papers, I found out just how low they'd go. Tasha's cousin, Aaron, works part-time at a bank. That afternoon, he texted Tasha, "Hey, tell your friend Michelle to check her accounts." Something weird popped up with her name. My heart started racing. I opened my banking app, looked at our joint account, the one Brad and I barely used. It was meant for bills, but we always handled things separately. There were 3 withdrawals I didn't recognize. Small ones, sneaky ones, $1.90, $120.74, $35.16. Transfers. I clicked on the details. They were going to an account with Jean's maiden name. I just stared at the screen. My hands started shaking. He was funneling money to his mother. Quiet, slick, like I'd never notice. I took screenshots, sent them straight to my lawyer. Within the hour, she messaged me back. "We can use this. Don't touch anything else." I sat on the edge of the guest bed in Tasha's house, still holding my phone. I wasn't crying. I wasn't angry. I was done. This wasn't just betrayal. This was war, and they picked the wrong woman. I wasn't shaking from fear anymore. I was shaking from pure, blinding rage. Sitting at Tasha's kitchen table, phone still warm from that last message, I whispered to myself. He thinks he's going to win. Stealing money, twisting the story, hiding behind his mother's skirt like a little boy. No, not this time. Later that night, I did something I never thought I would. I called Mark, one of Brad's old co-workers. We were never close, mostly small talk at company parties, but he was always observant. Always listening. He picked up after the 3rd ring. "Michelle, hey, look, I know this is out of the blue, but I need to ask you something." I told him everything, briefly. Then I asked the question that had been eating at me. Has Brad been saying anything about me? Anything weird? There was a long pause. Then Mark sighed. "Honestly, I wasn't gonna say anything, but yeah. There's talk going around. He's been telling people you cheated." I blinked. "What? That you're staying with some guy? Someone from the hospital? That it's all your fault?" I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was pathetic. Cheated? With who? Mark didn't have a name. Just rumors. But that was enough. Brad was already spinning his story, casting himself as the broken-hearted husband while painting me as the unfaithful wife. I hung up and just sat, staring at the wall. He was rewriting the truth. And worse, people were believing it. But I had something he didn't receipt. Texts, voicemails, screenshots, everything. I told my lawyer. She didn't flinch. "If they want a dirty fight," she said, "we'll bring gloves and a scalpel." The next morning, we filed a motion to freeze all joint accounts, no more sneaky transfers. We also filed a request for a * forensic audit, 6 months of bank activity, every penny accounted for. But the boldest move, we filed for a restraining order against Jean Brad's mom for indirect harassment and defamation. I knew this would light a fire under all of them. But I didn't care. I was done being quiet. The court date came faster than I expected. I stood outside the courthouse in a black blazer and flats, hands cold but steady. Tasha stood beside me like a shield. Inside, Brad was already sitting at the table. He looked different, thinner, older, tired. His mom wasn't there, neither was Megan, but he had a lawyer. Some bargain bin type, probably someone Jean found on a coupon site. When I walked in, Brad turned. Tried to smile, like nothing had happened, like I might still come back. I didn't smile back. I sat down next to my lawyer, who looked like a storm in lipstick and heels. She opened her folder and whispered to me, "He's not ready." And he wasn't. We had everything: the secret bank transfers, the fake cheating rumors, even screenshots from Megan's group chat leaked anonymously by one of her friends. Turned out, they'd been plotting this for months. After Megan's divorce, Jean had made a vow. No woman will ever divide this family again. I wasn't family. I was a threat, a stain on their picture-perfect world. They called me names, words I won't repeat. They said I was using Brad, that I emasculated him. But the worst part, they said I didn't matter. They said it behind my back. But today, I would say something to their faces, through the law. I didn't smile back, not in that courtroom, not when Brad tried to catch my eye like we were still something. We were nothing now. When it was my turn to speak, I kept my answers short and honest. I let the facts talk. My lawyer, she handled the fire. Every time Brad's side tried to twist the story, she calmly tore it apart. Brad's lawyer kept pointing fingers, blaming stress, family pressure, anything but the truth. But it was all noise. And the judge, he saw right through it. By the end, I could feel the weight shifting. Then the ruling came down like thunder. I got a full split of the assets, including the house. Yes, the house his family said I didn't belong in. The same one Brad stupidly put in both our names even though he'd paid most of the down payment. The judge also gave me sole control of our joint account. And Brad, he was ordered to pay my legal fees for moving money behind my back. But the moment that sealed everything, right after the ruling, Jean got served with a restraining order. Right there in the courtroom. She stood up, dramatic as ever. "This is a mistake. She's ruining our family's name. She's doing this out of spite." The judge didn't blink. "Sit down, Mom. Your behavior is documented." Brad didn't say a word. He just kept his head down, like a little boy caught stealing. I walked out of that courthouse slowly. Not proud, not victorious, just done. It felt like walking out of a burning house with nothing but your bones. That night, I sat in the quiet of the house they never wanted me to live in. My house now, no yelling, no lies, just silence. And in that silence, something hit me hard. I wasn't innocent either. I stayed too long. I let their words sink into my skin. I kept hoping Brad would grow a spine. I thought love meant waiting and forgiving and shrinking yourself to fit. But I was wrong. Patience without respect is self-destruction. The next morning, I made it final. I blocked every number. I changed the locks. I changed my name back. And I started applying for jobs in Nashville. Bigger city, new start, no ghosts. A few days later, I got a message from a random number. "I'm sorry. I didn't know how bad it was. I should have stood up for you." It was Brad. I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it. Because, sorry, means nothing when it comes too late. They didn't want me in their family. So now, they don't get to be part of mine. Not ever again. Like this story. Want to hear more powerful, emotional journeys like this? Please hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that hits home. There's more coming, and you don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching. Stay strong, stay free, stay you.